Here's the story of a man named Brady. Today, we're going to be taking a look at designer gray Casablanca Lady Delta number 2. As I discussed in the first Gray Lady video, designer gray was a part of Casablanca's designer series, a group of rather colorful finishes introduced in 1986 and 1987, and most of them were discontinued by the early to mid-90s. Designer gray specifically, I believe, was discontinued in either 1993 or 1994, giving the finish a 7 to 8 year lifespan. And in that time, it sold a few units here and there, though on the whole, not too many. The Delta 2 was the model that sold the most units in designer gray, as is the case with all designer series colors, pretty much, as those are the most common, but even still, you don't see them too terribly often. The Lady Delta, on the other hand, this one sold significantly less, as you really don't see these too terribly often. I got this Gray Lady, along with that Gray Lady, from Marketplace in northern Minnesota, and while these fans are rather similar looking, they do have a few differences, one of which being the light globe. This one has a different globe on it. Another difference being the date of manufacture. This one is from March of 1993. And because this one's from the 90s, it has a smooth hang true, while the other one, which is from the 80s, March of 86 specifically, has a notched hang true. But otherwise, these fans are the same. Same standard length down rod, same 42-inch designer gray Lady Delta blades, same K2 in designer gray, same pull chain fob configuration, etc. And this fan also came 100% complete. One small negative to this fan, the little finial on the light chain is broken off. I do plan on putting a new switch in there and fixing it eventually, just haven't gotten around to it quite yet. But I will eventually, but for now I do have to pull the chain out in order to turn the light on and off. Now we'll demonstrate the fan, starting with the light. So as far as I could tell from the listing pictures, these two fans were not installed in the same room. They were probably installed in like two smaller bedrooms next to each other, as evidenced by the small differences between the two. I also theorized that both of these fans were purchased at the same time. I believe what the case would be is that someone around 1993 or 1994 went into a lighting showroom and wanted two designer gray Lady Deltas. But since these fans are rather uncommon, they only had two of them on standby, one of which was a newer, recently manufactured one, another one was an older one left over from a few years back. As in general, they probably wouldn't have too many designer gray Lady Deltas on standby. It is also possible that these two fans were purchased in succession. One was purchased in the mid to late 80s and the other one in the early to mid 90s, but to me it makes more sense that they were bought at the same time and one of them was just leftover old stock. Anyhow, there is low speed. And it is kind of funny how the first one was made right at the start of the lifespan of designer gray. This one was made right at the tail end. As I believe, like I said earlier, either 93 or 94 was the last year for designer gray, so yeah, right at the end. pick it up to medium. And aside from the broken finial, this fan is in impeccable shape. The blades are well balanced, no scratches, dings, or blemishes anywhere to be seen. Though it does have that common 90s glossy blade thing where they make that crackling sound. Still not entirely sure what causes that. Might try tightening the screws, see if that works. And high. And as you can see, this fan is incredibly fast and incredibly powerful. I think this one might actually be faster than the other Gray Lady Delta, though it's kind of hard to tell. If it is, it'd only be by a slight margin. And it is cranking out air like a beast. This is definitely one of the best 42-inch/36-inch fans offered on the market in the late 80s and early 90s. Some people may say that because the ceiling fan is smaller, it's not going to be as powerful or not move as much air, but at least in terms of the Casablanca lineup, that's complete and utter bullcrap. These things are just as powerful, if not more powerful, than their 52-inch model siblings. And there you go. Designer Gray Casablanca Lady Delta number 2.